So what is good guys, Adnan here, and the iPhone 4 is now available for as cheap as $100 on eBay and probably also in your local retailer shops. So 7 subsequent years later, should you pick it up just because it's an iPhone? Talking about picking it up, everything about it screams quality. The rigid aluminium frame holding both the glass panels to the front and to its back, and the iPhone 4 totally obliterates away smartphones, even being released 7 years later, and that is just astonishing. That being said, the first ever generation of Corning's Gorilla Glass does absolutely no justice to the super scratch and also shatter prone build of the iPhone. So, this 7-year-old device runs actually a fairly recent 4-year-old operating system, and that's iOS 7, Apple's biggest visual overhaul since the debut of the original iPhone OS. I say that's the biggest mistake Apple has ever made, updating the iPhone 4 with inadequate internals to iOS 7, and that's what Apple usually does it in its fashion. Forcefully update its older devices till they become unstable, laggy, and just unusable. Luckily enough, the iPhone 4 is a bit more usable than say my iPad 3 running on top of iOS 9. Anyways, iOS 7 is a bit more eye appealing with all the glossy remake and those clean flat icons. However, almost all the apps that I use on my 3-year-old Android device are not even a bit compatible with the iPhone, and that does not make sense. Just push an older version of the same app for older versions of iOS. Anyways, a little thing that I would like to point out is that the apps themselves don't lag, it's just the loading times, the connectivity, and the absolute disgraceful minutes of the widescreen of death that just steal away the Apple-esque experience. Good to know that all the stock Apple apps work flawlessly, and I seriously could recommend this to someone like a kid who needs just a bit more than a feature phone. My pretty big hands got used to a 5.5-inch display, and the 3.5-inch iPhone just makes me laugh every time my hands conceal it. Even though people say this size is good for reachability, I guess 5 inches isn't too impossible to use without any big inconveniences either. Battery life on the iPhone has taken a big hit, and I barely make it through 4 PM, let alone the entire day. Something that still appeals to me after 7 long years is the astonishingly great camera. Forget about the specifications, all you need to know is that the iPhone 4 is a great shooter both in daylight and moderately lit scenarios. The front camera isn't half bad, and did I mention the shutter speed is gracefully quick? Concluding, I'd like to throw some light on the things that truly make the iPhone 4 an iPhone 4. The best industrial build, fully metallic and super satisfying buttons, the classic 30-pin connector, and a vibrant retina display. If that isn't enough to convince you to buy a $100 iPhone, hear me out. It has a headphone jack.